Hey, what's up everybody? Michael from RogueDeckBuilder.com here doing another spoiler video. We don't have a god this time, but we do have a Planeswalker, and it is the green-white Planeswalker, Ajani. And I have to just say, first off, look at the art. I really like the art in this card. I don't know why. Maybe I just really love the style of Ajani and just super epic and love the colors and everything like that in this card. Green and white is just two of my favorite colors. Well, it's a little bit tough to say. I have a lot of favorites, I guess you could say, in Magic, but anything Selesnya is really sweet in my opinion. And when I first saw this card spoiled, I looked at the ultimate, and I honestly thought it was photoshopped. I thought it was sort of a joke, and it's not a joke. That is actually Ajani's ultimate. You gain 100 life. It feels like when they developed this card, they were at either close to deadline or it's just everyone was super tired and they wanted to ship it, and one guy raises his hand and says, "Why don't we just you gain 100 life?" And then the lead developer is like, "Okay, ship it. Let's do it. 100 life. There you go. Nothing else. You just gain 100 life." A little bit disappointing, but it's very funny, and I feel it's gonna be very fun. It's still sort of a game ender, but at the same time, even if you have 100 life, you can still lose. So that's a little bit disappointing, but, that there's no other effects that go along with it. But at the same time, you can, I feel like it can have some very fun possibilities. And more often than not, it will just end the game anyways. And the main thing to notice about this is that Ajani has no minus ability other than his ultimate. So that makes it really sweet that even though he's 5 costing, and he only starts at 4, every time you use him, he's going to be going towards his ultimate, and his both of his +1s are actually quite good, especially in a Selesnya deck. When you're playing most of the Selesnya cards, they're already pretty decent value. Loxodon Smiter's a 4/4 for 3, Fleece Mainland's a 3/3 for 2. So being able to just make those creatures even larger works really well. And on top of that, he has sort of a mix of a Domri and a Garruk type effect. I really like this middle +1, and I feel that's going to be getting used quite a lot. So it's a little bit interesting to see where Ajani is going to be fitting in. I could definitely see Ajani fitting into some sort of mid-range strategy, and I could definitely see Ajani also working in some sort of heroic deck when there's already counters, and his middle +1, you're looking for creatures or auras. That's really a sweet thing when you can look for auras and grab them, and just ways to target your creatures and just keep drawing gas pretty much. And the nice thing about Ajani, of course, is that whenever you do that, you don't have to worry about him being close to dying, because each time you do any one of his abilities other than his ultimate, he's going to be just getting tougher. And, if your opponent doesn't deal with him in 4 turns, he's going to go ultimate, and you can probably just win the game off of that. So I'm really excited to see where Ajani goes, and I feel Ajani's just actually a pretty sweet card, even if it is mostly just for his middle +1. His top +1 isn't as good as his middle +1, but it's still pretty nice for the fact that you can put all 3 counters on one creature if you wanted to, and that's actually pretty huge. Playing him and making one of your creatures just 3 power and toughness larger. Now, of course, the one downside is that Ajani is 5 mana, which is a little bit on the high side. But when you think about it, depending on what type of deck you're playing, when you're playing green, you're more often than not playing, Elvish Mystics or Sylvan Caryatid. So you can essentially get Ajani out turn 3 or turn 4 without too much of a problem. So I think that's pretty reasonable, considering that, he doesn't have any minus ability other than his ultimate. And so it's a little bit tougher to actually get him off the board, of course, save for Hero's Downfalls and Detention Spheres and things like that. But at the same time, I think he works, just how you would expect in some sort of beat down deck, being able to keep drawing it a gas, as well as just making your board state even larger with his top +1. So I'm really excited about Ajani. I think he's going to work really well in probably a mid-range type strategy. maybe like a Bant mid range or something like that. I could definitely see him working in, and yeah, that I don't know. It's really tough to say. I don't think he would work in an aggro deck. He's a little bit on the high cost, but who knows? Maybe on like as a one of in the aggro deck. You never know. Depending on what type of aggro deck, I guess you could say he could probably fit in multiple kinds. I mean, even with ramp, you're essentially an aggro deck anyways, so there's always a possibility that he could be played. It'd be pretty funny because you could even just like make your Elvish Mystics 4/4s, which is pretty sweet. But yeah, I'm very excited about Ajani. I'm sure everyone is as well, and I'm really excited to see if people, how easily people can actually get his ultimate off. Because that would, I just think that's absolutely hilarious that they decided to just go with a gain 100 life. I'm wondering if there's any specific reason why they did that, but if there isn't, I feel it's just a fun way to use Ajani's ultimate. I mean, Ajani Caller Pride, his ultimate is life gain based as well. Well, not life gain based, but life based. Getting tokens, getting 2/2 tokens equal to your life, which is still pretty fun as well. But I think this one is beats them all for the fun factor, I guess. Well, maybe Ral Zarek, but at the same even then, I think Ajani's is at least better in that sense that it can possibly end games right away. But yeah, that's all I have to say about this. It's a little bit tough to say where this card's going to fit in. I think this card can fit into quite a few different things. Definitely in a sort of Super Friends Planeswalkers deck with, Elspeth and a whole bunch of other Planeswalkers, but he can definitely join that league. But that's all I have to say about Ajani. Let me know what you guys think about Ajani, as well as what kind of fun ways will you interact with his ultimate. But until next time, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day.